Today I'm going to show you something very simple, hopefully, something that you can do in DNA, something that you can do on managing your infrastructure. And in this case, we're going to use a disk usage check. We're going to use this as an example, and we're going to further use this in a simple workflow, connecting it to Slack. So there's a few different types of modules that you can use within DNA, all with the same purpose, but this one is a so-called RunOS module. This is a module that is very easily edited, and you can basically use a scripting language, Bash, PowerShell, Python, or some other things as well, to basically run a simple command or a more complex command on your infrastructure. In this case, I'm going to check for the disk usage utilization on volumes. Now, this is already a little bit more, well, complex, but let me actually do it step by step. I will basically remove this and I will first go with a very simple script. And this will basically give me the volumes of the device with the actually usage as well. So let me run it on a particular device. It will now start running. I can basically open up the job. It's running here. And you will see that this output is a little bit, let's say, it's giving you more lines of output. But the ultimate goal is that I actually want to have only one output, which is the item or the line or the file system, which basically has the highest usage. So I would really like to get this particular line back as a single output. And in order to do that, I'm actually having a slightly more complex script, not very complex, but a slightly more some complex script, where basically I'm going to get this specific line. I'm going to update the module. You can see it's very easy to do. You can also switch between different versions as well. This is going to be version 1.7 in this case. And I basically can execute a text test on the same device. And in this case, it will not give me all the different lines, but it will give me a specific output, only the one that has the highest usage. So let's have a look how that looks like. There we go. And it basically will say that this volume has 90% utilization or usage. Now this is nice, and you can basically run this on, for example, many different devices at the same time, and you can use that information in a more complex, let's say, workflow. Now, I already created this workflow just to keep this video a little bit short, and this workflow is actually called connecting it to Slack, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically use different nodes in my workflow, and the ultimate thing is that I'm going to connect it to Slack in the end. I first will have a starting node, and in the starting node, which is basically the node that is used at the very beginning of a workflow, I basically define a target device. Now every time when I'm running this workflow, I need to basically give this target device. So this target device is given here. You can basically add a target device quite easily. And then I connect this start node, I'm connecting it with the check disk usage module. And that's the module that I just was showing to you, the one that I was editing. Now it's going to use the target device, which is in this particular starting node, and it will give me an output, which is the, let's say, smaller output with the volume with the highest usage. It will give me that as an output. And then I'm going to use something which is called a composition node. And in this composition node, I'm actually creating a JSON output. You can see that this looks like JSON. Now, most of this is very static. The only thing that is dynamic is actually the text. And the text is coming from this particular module. And with this JSON, I'm going to call a REST API. And I'm basically going to use the both method, and the URL is a Slack hook, let's say. We have another video about this on how to use this, but it's pretty straightforward, I would say. And I'm basically connecting the output from this composition node. I'm connecting it here to the JSON data. Yeah. So if, for example, there would be another volume on this particular machine that I'm giving here as an input, if there is a volume which is, for example, 20% of 25% or 99%, it will basically adjust the JSON and give it to this particular node, which is calling the REST API of Slack. And it will give me a notification about the highest volume on this particular device. So I will just save this, and I will actually run this. So I still need to select here the device. Now, if I'm scheduling this, I can already predefine the device or the device group against which I want to run this particular workflow. But in this demonstration, I will basically show it to you by selecting it. And I'm going to start it. You see it's checking for the disk usage. Now it's calling the REST API. And here you see that I get a Slack notification with this particular volume and the percentage of the usage. Now, when I go into Slack, this is our test environment, you can basically see that it gives this notification, which is saying that the diffuse overlays FS is 69%. And there they also define an action, which is I can troubleshoot the issue, I can create a ticket, or I can clean it up. Now, once I hit these buttons, I will show you in a later video how you can connect this back into DNA. So it actually will perform an action to clean up the disk or the particular volume, or it can create, for example, ticket in ServiceNow or any CRM system that you're having, or you can connect it to a, let's say, more complex workflow, which would troubleshoot this particular issue. Whatever troubleshooting workflow you would define for yourself.